Please come to order. Good morning. Welcome to the Commissioner of St. Mary's County meeting this date, Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. I am Randy Guy, President and Commissioner of St. Mary's County. I'd like to introduce the other commissioners. Sitting to my right, representing the 1st Commissioner District, which includes Ridge, Piney Point, Central Rhode Island, Mr. Eric Colvin.
Good morning.
Representing the 2nd Commissioner District, which includes Leonardtown, Hollywood, Mr. Mike Hewitt.
Good morning.
Sitting to my left, representing the 3rd Commissioner District, which includes Charlotte Hall, 7th District, Golden Beach, and Mechanicsville, Mr. Mike Alderson Jr.
Good morning.
Representing the 4th Commissioner District, which includes Lexington Park, some of California, Great Mills, and some of Hollywood, Mr. Scott Ostro.
Good morning.
Seated next to Commissioner Ostro at the end of the dais is David Weiskopf, our County Administrator.
Good morning.
On my immediate right is Julia Birch, our Recorder for today. Sitting at the table to my right is our Communications Director, Lena. She's running it today, okay? Our video production team is recording from behind the glass. Please turn the cell phones off or on vibrate. When you come to the presenter's table, please come down to the center aisle. And remember, this meeting is being televised, so you need to speak clearly and directly into the microphone for recording purposes. In other words, look good. You're on live TV. At this time, we have the invocation and pledge by Commissioner Ostro. Please stand.
Heavenly Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts for the opportunity to serve the people of this county. Grant us wisdom in our discussions, unity in our decisions, and humility in our leadership. Guide us to seek the good of all, listen with respect, and to act with integrity. May everything we do here bring honor to you and blessings to our community. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Ostro. Next, I need the approval of the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Next, we have several proclamations. First is the Homegrown Lunch Program, and then next is the World Architect.
Well, it's a special privilege for me today to be able to deliver this because this is my granddaughter's first year of school. So this is really exciting for her and for me to be able to, she's so proud. She comes home every day and says how much fun she's had at school. So, whereas Homegrown School Lunch Week is celebrating its 17th year, promoting the inclusion of locally sourced food in school lunches to show students the origins of their food and introduce them to fresh, nutritious products grown right here in Maryland. And whereas this initiative is a key element of the Maryland Farm to School program, which aims to integrate locally produced foods into school meals, provide hands-on learning experiences for students, and foster food-related education, promoting the nutritional and community benefits of local produce. Whereas St. Mary's County Public Schools participates in Maryland Homegrown School Lunch Week by providing students with locally sourced meals and educational activities that highlight the importance of local agriculture. And whereas the Farm to School program would not be possible without the support of the University of Maryland Extension staff, and whereas this initiative aligns with our vision of a vibrant St. Mary's County by fostering opportunities and connection between local youth and our agriculture sector, while honoring our rural heritage and enhancing the quality of life. Now, therefore, we, the Commissioners of St. Mary's County, do hereby proclaim September 29th through October 3rd, 2025, as Homegrown School Lunch Week in St. Mary's County. We encourage our schools and citizens to support this initiative that strengthens local agriculture, provides healthy meals for our students, and connects our community with locally produced foods. This date, September 30th, 2025.
Good morning. My name is Caitlin Freyer. I am the coordinator for food services for St. Mary's County Public Schools. I have a short list of people to thank this morning. For our beef suppliers this year, we have Earl Lumpkins of Park Green Hill Farms, Susan and Andrew Russell of Deer View Farm and Meats, Leroy, Brian, Glenn, and Andrew Russell of Russell Brothers LLC. For our sweet potatoes this year, we're using Adrian Hill of Mechanicsville, which is actually directly next to one of our schools that we're having this event at this year. Watermelon, kale, corn, tomatoes, and squash have been purchased from the Loveville Produce Auction through various farms that sell there as well. I want to do a special thanks to Ben Beal, Dr. Littles, Christine Allred, and everybody else at the University of Maryland Extension Office. Atlantic Tractor, Greg Butterfield, is a really big supporter of ours. He always brings a tractor for the kids to be able to see and be able to really just see the scale of a tractor that they might normally just see from the road as they're driving by. American Dairy Northeast is helping us out with 2 of our events this year. The kids always love her presentations because they always get to go home with a little something extra. The Tech Center students this year are helping us out. The environmental science teacher, Dorothy Birch, is helping us out by bringing some students to the Banneker event this year, and she's doing a station for us. And then Bruce from Soil Conservation and Susan and her family from 4-H. All of these people are absolutely instrumental to our success. This year we have 3 events. The first one is at Mechanicsville Elementary, and it's this Friday. The second one is next Wednesday at Banneker Elementary, and the third one is at Evergreen Elementary, and that is on the 17th of October. So we're really excited, commissioners. We absolutely invite you to come out. We'll be there pretty much all day. It's a really fun time. We've got some really great food, and we're really looking forward to this year's events. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Dion Littles with the University of Maryland Extension. I am the Nutrition, Health, and Wellness Educator.
Hi, I'm Susan Russell. I'm the St. Mary's County 4-H educator.
Okay, let's take some pictures.
All right, next we have World Architecture Day. They ran off with the other. They ran off with the other proclamation. Got mixed up here. So I'm going to present for World Architecture Day 2025. Whereas in 1985, the International Union of Architects established the first Monday of October as World Architecture Day to celebrate the contributions that architects make in providing modern, energy-efficient, safe, code-compliant, and aesthetically pleasing infrastructure for the public. And whereas this year's theme is Design for Strength, encouraging architects to adopt strategies that strengthen our infrastructure's resilience and adaptability rather than focusing on temporary solutions. And whereas St. Mary's County appreciates the challenge of meeting complex building program requirements current building codes, modern construction methods, and changing construction labor and material market prices. Now, therefore, we, the Commissioners of St. Mary's County, do hereby proclaim Monday, October 6, 2025, World Architecture Day in St. Mary's County, and encourage our citizens to explore and learn about architecture and to pay tribute to those who create these beautiful and inspirational works. Signed this date, September 30th, 2025, Commissioners of St. Mary's County.
My name is Amber Harding. I am the building official for Land Use and Growth Management.
Good morning. I'm Gary Whipple, Deputy Director for Facility Capital Projects, Public Works and Transportation.
My name is Shanley Blasco. I'm working for Land Use and Growth Management, and I'm an architect.
Good morning. I'm Jessica Andritz, the Director of Land Use and Growth Management, here to support my staff and also the proud daughter of an architect.
Oops. Excuse me, phone. Okay, next on our agenda is the Department of Land Use and Growth Management decision, text 125-0112, amendment to allow use type 28 in RCA overlay district. Ms. Jessica Andrus, Director of Land Use and Growth Management, will be leading the way here.
Good morning, Commissioners. I apologize for being away last week. My mother was visiting us from warm and sunny San Diego. She's becoming more of a fan of Southern Maryland every time she visits. Anyway, I am before you today just with an update and also seeking a decision on a proposed text amendment that would allow daycare non-medical use type 28 in the RCA overlay district for the critical area. Uploaded to board docs, amongst the things you will find not only the memo that explains how we got to this point today, but also providing comments submitted to the county from the Critical Area Commission staff. And most importantly, in my opinion, is the small revisions made to the draft ordinance, specifically referencing, and if you look on page 2 of 3 of the ordinance, you'll notice that some standards have been clarified and added there, so that hopefully the Critical Area Commission, when they take the matter up on November 5th, would see fit to approve the request so that the use could be employed here in St. Mary's County. And so the 3 standards that have been added are found in A. The use shall be restricted to the utilization of buildings legally existing as of October 14th, 2025 only. B, no use may apply for a variance to exceed lot coverage limits established by section 41.6 if the property on which the use is proposed is eligible for impervious surface trading, something that is approved by the Planning Commission, in accordance with section 41.5.3.I3. And last but not least, C, no use shall serve more than 42 individuals at any one time. And I might add there, as I think you heard last time, the amount of young people that can be served by this use is something that is predetermined by the state, but from what I understand, the applicant in this case has said that they're hoping to have about 42 children attending the facility, and so that's how that number got there. I'm sure a decade or 2 decades from now, somebody's going to scratch their head and say, 42, that seems very specific.
It does. I was going to question that. Does that need to be in there, that limiting number? Like, what if they want to expand to 50 kids? They're not permitted to do that?
I think that would be, see, the issue that we're having is how much pushback, I'm sure there's a better word, but on Tuesday morning it's pushback, how much pushback we can give the state. We really want to get this use approved so that whatever changes need to be made can be made so that the doors can open as quickly as possible. 42 was the number that worked for this particular applicant. Based
So the
on
critical area commission wants it at 42 or less?
I don't know that they've said 42 or less, but they said, what can you do in St. Mary's County to assure us that the new use is not going to be impactful to the RCA in ways that would go against the purpose of the critical area overlay zones. And so we sought the advice and counsel of the county attorney's office, but also the applicant in this case. And we all agreed that 42 was something that certainly they could live with. And so hopefully with these guardrails in place, the Critical Area Commission will see fit to approve the amendment.
Okay.
What would they have to do to increase it if they wanted to increase the numbers?
We'd have to do this all over again.
All over again? Oh, my gosh.
Let's get the 42 number taken
Oh,
care of
I agree,
first. And
I agree,
get,
I agree. Okay.
Get these people some wings.
Oh, go ahead.
I think that's the important part. I served on the Critical Area Commission for 9 years, and they're proud of themselves being able to dip their finger in the ink every now and then just to, I guess they have nothing better to do. So the key is that you're meeting those needs and you're going to get that out of the way. But I would say to you this, I did see instances where things had been done previously that needed to be modified later, and they're reasonable. They understand if it goes, if the demand is there, you could go up. And they're just trying to put, your term was guardrails, and that's a good one, because they'll be flexible depending on what comes along, because the facility can only hold so many. The main thing I remember was important then is that they didn't like adding any new facilities within the RCA. The fact that you have an existing facility will probably determine how many kids can fit in there. So, I mean, I'm very confident this will be no problem going forward.
Fingers crossed.
Well, I think you'll be fine.
So is there already playground equipment on the property there? Is there going to be any issue if they add playground equipment into the RCA?
I believe they are going to need to add some playground equipment, and so I think we're trying to find as much wiggle room as we can. If you'll notice that B has been carefully crafted to sort of limit additional lot coverage, but we've left the door open to say, okay, but there are going to be certain situations where the use, and honestly, the community need to have a place to bring their children, not only for the educational purposes, but recreational purposes. Also, this would allow for a modestly sized playground structure, swings, things of that nature, to facilitate the socialization that needs to go on at these
Now, would that require any, since it's in the RCA, would that require any kind of processes for All Saints to go through to get that approved? Would they have to get it approved?
It may need a variance, depending on, and that's why we've left this door open here. The Critical Area Commission was very firm in placing, again, guardrails on this particular use. I think their concern is it's going to open the floodgates, and we're going to start, putting up schools and daycare centers all over the place and just completely wrecking the RCA. And so we've tried to find some limiting language that gives the county, and in particular this applicant, the flexibility to do what they need to do for the good of our local community.
Is there going to be a planting agreement involved in this also?
If there are any plantings removed and things like that, but I'm not sure that there are.
Okay.
But that's something that they would have to figure out a little bit later down the pike.
So make sure we have all the bases covered before we get to the last minute there and be like, oh, by the way, you need to plant 32 trees of 2-inch caliper and all that stuff. So,
I put things in the playground to make sure the impervious soil is, we don't put concrete down.
No, I don't
Not allowed
think
to do
in
that?
this day and age you're putting concrete down.
Right.
I don't know about you, but
On
I've fallen
asphalt.
off
That
of a
was when
couple
we were
tire,
kids. Yeah, that was when
a
we were
couple
kids.
tire swings, and a couple of hard lands off a slide, and a skin knee is no good on concrete.
Metal slides and everything.
Yeah, nice
too.
and warm.
Okay.
All right. I move to approve the proposed ordinance and amend Chapter 285 of the Code of St. Mary's County, Maryland by amending Schedule 50.4 and Section 51.3.28 to allow use type 28 daycare non-medical in the RCA overlay zoning district, which shall become effective upon the date of approval from the Critical Area Commission.
Second.
I have a first and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any negative? Ayes have it.
Appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Motion two.
I move to authorize Commissioner President to sign all related documents.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you again.
Thank you.
That was a very robust aye on that first motion.
Now we'll go right into county administrator time.
Thank you, Commissioner President Guy, and as always, we'll start with the draft agendas for October 7th and October 21st. There will be no meeting on October 14th. October 7th, you will start at 9 a.m. with the joint meeting with NAS Patuxent River at the Patuxent River Naval Air Museum. And at 1 p.m., you will reconvene here for your normal meeting, and followed by 4 proclamations: the Faith in Blue Weekend, the White Cane Awareness Day, National 4-H Week, and Case Management Recognition Week, followed by County Administrator time, Commissioner time, adjourn, and then have a 2 p.m. meeting with the Maryland Association of Counties annual visit, followed by the 6:30 joint public meeting with the St. Mary's County delegation. On Tuesday, October 21st, you'll start at your normal time and place, followed by 4 proclamations: one for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, National Disability Employment Awareness Month, Economic Development Week, Red Ribbon Week with the Health Department and Southern Maryland Young Marines, followed by the annual Disability Awards Ceremony, County Administrator time, Commissioner time, and then adjourn. And first on the agenda today is from the Office of the County Attorney for the approval of Deer Cooperator Permit Operation Plan submitted by NAS Patuxent River to the Maryland Department of Natural Resources. Deputy County Attorney John Sterling Hauser, welcome.
Good morning,
John.
Commissioners. As Mr. Weiskopf said, Deputy County Attorney John Hauser standing in for Ms. Giddens this morning. Payback for that time I made her do a legislative briefing all by her lonesome because my dog was sick. As Mr. Weiskopf said, we are here before you today with a letter of support and authorization for the United States Navy Patuxent River Naval Air Station's annual Deer Cooperator Permit application. And I'll note the presence in the audience from NAS PACS of Mr. Lance McDaniel, their Environmental Director, Tyler Hall, their Natural Resources Specialist, and Jim Swift, their Natural Resources Manager, for any technical questions, because shooting deer ain't exactly my area of subject matter expertise. But basically, the letter before you that you've got is a authorization for the deer cooperator permit the Naval Air Station Patuxent River is taken out to better control the deer populations in and around NAS PACS and Webster Field, to reduce the odds that those deer wander on to the runways and do cause an incident that will either damage property or bring risk of injury to the pilots. That happens with, I think, some level of frequency on NAS PACS. I don't think there's been any incident we know of in Webster Field, which, fingers crossed, won't be in the future, but that is essentially what you have in front of you. Special authorization is required. From the law actually says the local county office of law, but not a chance that legal was putting its signature on this letter alone without Commissioner President Guys there right along with it. For authorization permitting the use of bottleneck cartridge rifles in those counties where their use is otherwise prohibited for deer hunting, which in St. Mary's County it is, and a letter authorization from the county permitting discharge of weapons at night, which this particular management plan does call for. I think the discharge of firearms both in daylight and at night, shotguns at day and at night. That's the gist of it. Any particular questions, can do the best I can or cede the ground to subject matter experts we have in the room. But we are looking for a motion to authorize President Guy's signature on this letter of support and authorization. One other thing I will note as well that Ms. Giddens did this year, not the first time you have seen this letter. I believe this cooperator permit has been asked for every year since 2019. And innovation, we are trying this year at NAS PACS's request that we're going to see if we can get DNR to go for it. Language in the letter that this authorization stands until revoked by the commissioners of St. Mary's County. So maybe we can see if we can stop this becoming a yearly tradition and let one authorization go now in perpetuity unless and until the commissioners ever revoke it at a later date.
Tell me, what laws got us involved in this? This is ridiculous. What are we going to do, not let the deer run around out there so the plane can, it just doesn't make sense. Why do we have to even be involved?
It is Comar 08-03.09.11.
You don't have to go into it. So it's Maryland, it's Comar.
State law.
It
Yeah,
is
it's
state
just-
law.
That
And
explains it.
This doesn't make any sense. What are we going to do, say no?
state law literally does require the authorization from the County Office of Law permitting the
Call
use of
red
center
tape,
fire
Counselor,
rifle.
red
Right.
tape. That's what it's called.
And the thing where they're using high-powered rifles versus, that's not allowed in our county.
Right.
That's
That's
one
part
of the
one.
problems
Part
right
two
there.
is the request to do some shooting or discharge
Right,
firearms at night.
right.
That's
And
the
at
other thing that
nighttime
triggers
also.
it.
Now, this is military personnel who will be doing this shooting.
Yeah, that's,
They're
That,
not.
oh.
Not necessarily.
you need to come up, sir. You need to.
Hi, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, it's usually our staff are USDA, and we're using the long rifles, high-powered rifles, and mainly because we know what's behind what we're shooting at. And then this also allows us to transport to the butchers at night, and which we donate. We donated well over 50,000 meals, venison to the local food bank at St. Mary's. So it keeps us where we can transport at night as well.
And
Now, I
all-
know some of our civilians, they can get permits to hunt on the base. Is that
Correct, right.
Yeah.
That would just be through our regular hunting and fishing. This is more like after hours when we do the deer culling, deer spotlight. We have an escalation where we try to, disperse them first. But if they're on the runways and we have certain aircraft coming in at night and they won't disperse, then we put them down.
So with with any harvested meat, I see that it goes to the processors and everything. Do they end up going to food banks or anything?
100% of it goes to local food bank, yes, sir. St. Mary's.
Yeah, I got- I have one more. Have you seen any, has there been any issues or not, examples of chronic wasting disease on any of the deer on base yet?
Not on base, no, sir. Not in the 17 years I've been there.
Okay. And do you feel that something that may be coming down the path around here, or?
I don't know. Sometimes I do think that the fences serve a purpose, but I
Okay.
also know that based on previous years, we've done some collaring, satellite collaring on them, and we had one end up over at Calvert Cliffs.
Wow.
So they do swim.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
Swim up St. Clements Island all the time.
I don't mind them going away. It's just, don't come in.
Don't come in. Well, I move to approve and authorize the submission of a letter to support the Maryland Department of Natural Resources regarding the U.S. Navy Naval Air Station Patuxent River's Deer Cooperator Permit, which allows removal of deer considered dangerous to airfield safety at NAS Patuxent River and Webster Field Annex. The authorization includes permission for the use of bottlenecked and straight-walled rifle cartridges and shotguns during daytime and nighttime hours as described in the permit, and further authorizes the Commissioner President and the County Attorney to sign all related documents.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Thank you. Next up, from the Department of Recreation and Parks, the fiscal year 27 Land and Water Conservation Fund grant application. Director Bivens, welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Welcome. Morning, sir.
Great to see everybody. So the first of two items today before you for Rec and Parks is to move forward to the next stage of applying for this is a competitive grant that the state of Maryland has motioned that we move forward to the federal program with. It would replace the Nicolette Splash Pad, which is 21 years old. It's a well-loved, well-used, but the average lifespan for a splash pad is generally 15 to 20 years. This project, it would be a $350,000 grant. If awarded, we would match it with $315,000 of open space funds, if available, and $35,000 of county funds. The tricky part is going to be how fiscal years align and when funds come, we're probably going to need to get it probably at least definitely one, but maybe two more summers out of our splash pad. We have had problems with it as it's gotten older. This past year, we weren't able to open it at the normal time just because of some of the mechanical problems that we've been having as it ages.
Why so expensive? I mean, it just seems like an outrageous amount of money.
The cost of these things over the last decades continue to escalate, and you kind of this is actually on the lower side of what some of these large, massive water parks kind of have. So it's nice because that's kind of the max of the grant we could go for, and this is one where you can kind of shop and pick and choose what features you have, and you pick the features based on the budget you have. So that's why we went with the $700,000 budget.
So are you replacing all the underground pipelines and everything?
Yeah, everything. So the pad comes off.
Okay, I can see
yep.
it being costing that much, and yeah.
Yeah, that makes it okay.
And we've spent a pretty good amount of money keeping the current one going, including resurfacing the pad and things like that. So the nice thing is we won't, for a nice long time, hopefully like 10 years, we won't have to do that kind of work.
Is this pad like a rubberized substance?
I don't know how to best describe it, kind of the material, but it's kind of a glaze, kind of like it's, you don't want any kind
Is
of.
it like a porous type of material? That's a whole pad is like a porous.
It does. It lets the water go down
through the whole pad.
And it's recycling the water, right? It's not just.
This particular one, not 100% on that. There's both recycling and fresh water. Pretty sure that ours recycles.
Okay.
Not 100% though.
Yeah. Okay.
What's the average maintenance cost, if you know this number, what we're paying now to maintain the splash pad we have?
I didn't pull those numbers. I know that some of the equipment we had to buy this year, we were in the over 10,000 to 15,000 kind of range. The bigger stuff is when we had to resurface, which was well before I arrived on that one.
Well, I move to approve the Land Water Conservation Fund grant application on behalf of the Department of Recreation and Parks in the amount of $350,000 to assist with the complete renovation of the Nicollet Splash Pad and authorize the Commissioner President to execute the related documents.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any disapprovals? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up from Ray again is the contract agreement with Maryland International Raceway.
Good morning. So again, this one here, we're proposing before you a public-private partnership with Maryland International Raceway, and I do have Royce Miller in the audience who's happy to answer any questions you guys might have. But they're our neighbor, a great contributor to the county. I know they have events with over 50,000 people and much bigger ones coming in the future as well. I was up on a tour because we were trying to talk and see how we could collaborate. We have the golf course right next door. We're the closest restaurant. But then also with the new museum coming, and just in general, like how do we get more people there to visit some of our recreation and park sites? As we were touring around and I was seeing the different aspects of the raceway, we talked about the playground. The playground there, I think, is probably 4 decades old. This part, Royce had an idea, and we kind of went to work on it. Appreciate Commissioner Alderson encouraging me to go up and meet to see how we could collaborate. So over the next 16 months, we'll be replacing 2 playgrounds at St. Clement Shores and Cecil Parks. What we have before you, and thank you to legal for drafting the documents, is Maryland International Raceway will come in. It'll be insured. They'll remove the playground equipment, which usually there's been a cost to us from the contractor. They'll have the site prepped. They'll have the ability to reuse what of that equipment they would like to. That is going to save us $17,000 per site. And then on top of that, we will, over the next 5 years, be given an $8,000 credit for advertising and promotion. And that credit can have a lot of different uses. We could use it in the marketing realm. If there's a special event or something like that, we could use it to rent the site. So it's got great flexibility. And Royce has been fantastic to work on with this. And then in the end, a very popular tourism destination for the county is going to have an improved, safer playground. And of course, no liability. There's no conditions or anything coming with that equipment. It's being passed to them.
I like this. I think
I
this
like
is
it too.
great.
Great.
Well, maybe he can come up and give us an idea what's going on in MR if he has time. Seeing how you came here today.
There's big stuff happening.
We know you had some upgrades, and you're advancing higher up into the racing.
Yeah, we're after 36 years at the helm. I mean, the NHRA is actually on site as we speak, working on some projects for next year's event here, which will be the Potomac Nationals on May 29, 30, 31. And that is the largest event in our sport in drag racing, that NHRA national event.
Potomac
A lot of
National.
recognition, television coverage, live broadcast. So there will be a lot of benefits to the community. And we are working with Lee Greevely and Raymond and trying to steer as much of that new business to St. Mary's County. I know we're the northern tip of the county, but, you know, because of just the logistics of where people come from, because we're kind of landlocked to the south, we have to kind of be very direct in directing those new overnight stays and other activities that you can do while they're here to the county. So we're very mindful of that. And so we're excited about it. A lot of work for a person my years. So, but it is. We're excited about with the World Cup, our H-Day event. You know, all of these, and of course the new national. We have, if you take up the daily attendance of these events. You know, there are 40, 50,000 people over those events. Wow. So it is a definite economic impact for the community, and we're going to steer as much as we can towards St. Mary's.
I'm a big fan of public-private partnerships, so I'm glad to see us go in that direction. As someone who grew up in the automotive world, I used to go to Bud's Creek Dragway when I was a young man. My dad had a race car, and we liked to race up there. Tell me, do you do it late at night? Because I have heard from people from Wicomico Shore say sometimes it can go late. Well, how late does it normally go?
We try to have all of our events done, you know, 11:30-ish type of time frame. You know, sometimes when you have there's only 2 cars can go down the drag strip at one time. Right. So when you have the large turnouts, or you have accidents or oil downs that you have to take care of, or weather delays, it could run as late. But we have invested an extreme amount of dollars in equipment and preparation to minimize, to either dry the track, clean up the oils, clean up accidents, fix the walls, so that we could minimize our amount of time. I mean, we have a lot of events that start at 9 in the morning. We don't wait till the nighttime to do it. Right. Although our peak spectator time, just in everything we do in our culture, you know, that's the reason that if you go to a movie before 6 o'clock, it's a matinee, it's a discounted fee. Everybody has that, 2 to 3 hour window of entertainment attention span, and that's usually in the evening. Yep. If you look at concerts, you look at football games, you look at a lot of different things, that we have about 2 to 3 hour window to get that in, and it usually starts at 7 o'clock.
Right.
So we do run some in the evenings, but we are very conscious about our hours of operation. We turn the PA down. We have some events that we don't allow race cars, just street cars with mufflers. So it gives the kids a place to come and run their cars, settle any rivalry or whatever without having to do it on the highway. So, but we are very, very conscious about our hours of operation.
All right, thank you.
Anything else, Commissioners?
I move to approve the agreement between the Department of Recreation and Parks and Maryland International Raceway and authorize the Commissioner President to execute all related documents.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, sir,
Thank
for
you,
being here
and
today.
good luck.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Next up, from the Department of Aging and Human Services, is the Governor's Office for Children Fiscal Year 2026 Award Acceptance, Subrecipients, and Budget Amendments. Deputy Director presenting, along with Ms. Meatyard. Welcome.
Welcome, ladies.
Good morning. Thank you. Commissioners, we're here this morning to request your approval on 3 items that will allow us to continue the work of the Local Management Board. And Ms. Meatyard is here as the LMB coordinator, and she can address any specific questions you may have. So the first item is the Community Partnership Agreement for FY26 in the amount of $554,545 from the Governor's Office for Children. So these funds will pass through to agencies and organizations providing important services for our community in the areas of mentoring, tutoring, education, and workforce readiness, and both physical and mental health. Now, these are the same vendors that you approved in FY25, and the LMB evaluated these programs and has chosen to continue to support these services in our community.
What are some of the groups that were, just for the public's edification, that we're going to?
Sure. The programs covered in the Community Partnership Agreement include organizations such as Building Bridges, Hope for St. Mary's County, the Boys and Girls Club of Southern Maryland,
Oh, good.
Nurse Family Partnership, and the Interagency Liaison with the Schools and Department of Juvenile Services.
I'm surprised the county funding is so low at
Me too.
1,102.
I am too.
And the state funding's 554,000. I mean, that's just such a deal, as we say, you know.
Has this gone down or up
It
since
has
last
stayed
year?
the same since
Stayed
I've
the
been
same?
the coordinator. So
Very
at any
good.
time that you feel the county can contribute to this,
Very
we've
good.
got lots of plans.
Good, good, very good.
Well, I'm going to move to approve the FY 2026 Community Partnership Agreement, CPA, and appendices A and B, and authorize LMB Chair to sign the document for projects from Governor's Office of Children, GOC, in the amount of $554,545 state funds and $1,102 county funds for a total of $555,647. Approve the subrecipient agreements between the county and St. Mary's County Public Schools, Circles, Hope for St. Mary's County, Nurse Family Partners, Patuxent Partnership, Boys and Girls Club, Building Bridges, and authorize the Commissioner President to sign all related documents.
Second. I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any disapprovals? Ayes have it.
Thank you, Commissioners. And next from Aging and Human Services, Ms. Brown will present again from the Governor's Office for Children an application for the Enough Initiative for the Local Management Board.
So the second item is the capacity building grant through the state's Enough Initiative. And Ms. Meatyard's on a roll, so I'm going to ask her to go ahead and introduce those facts.
Again, so as Ms. Brown had said, that this is the NOFA for the Enough Initiatives, the Local Management Board Capacity Building Grant. It is for the amount of $44,422. And this work will go to continue to support the work of the programs we just spoke about with the CPA so that they can continue. This money is more specific to the organizational capacity building.
Describe what that means, organizational capacity building.
Sure. Organizational capacity refers to having the programs ready, infrastructure that is prepared so that they have grant readiness, fiscal literacy, board development. It's the behind-the-scenes actions instead of the direct services that the programs.
So it's mainly paying for people to line this stuff up or get this all ready?
To make sure that the programs can handle the work that they do.
All right, that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this one seems to be all state, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I know. I like those.
Need a
Again?
motion?
Well, I'm looking at, there's a discrepancy. I don't know if it goes to the county, back to Mr. Wise call for where we have on the motion here, we have 44,422 state funds, and then on the other documents, we have 45,250.
That is a separate one. That's for our next item on the agenda.
Oh, yeah, that's the next one.
Yeah, I'll bet.
You're here for three of us. We're a hat trick this morning.
Staple stuff together.
No, please.
I'll own it.
I move to approve the local management board capacity building grant as outlined in the Enough initiative and authorize local management board chair to sign the document for projects from Governor's Office for Children, GOC, in the amount of $44,422 state funds, and authorize the commissioner president to sign the related documents.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you. And the last one is regarding the local management board and Circles USA.
So the third and final item is an agreement between the local management board and the Department of Social Services, which allows DSS to provide $45,000 to support the Circles program to alleviate poverty. Now, this is the same agreement that we've had last year as well.
Now, is social services here?
I don't think they were able to join us this morning.
Okay.
But there's an ongoing, I meet with Alexis regularly to discuss this.
So you're going to take care of her part of it?
I got her.
I'm so glad you came with me this morning.
All right, I move to accept the Department of Social Services Intergovernmental Agency Agreement on behalf of the Local Management Board Poverty Alleviation System, Circles USA, in the amount of $45,250, approve the budget amendment to increase MD 2670, and authorize the Commissioner President to execute the related documents.
Second.
I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you all very much. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Next up from the Department of Finance is the CIP Work Group Review and Update of Current Projects. Ms. Vanetta Van Cleef, CFO, presenting. Welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. So, as you'll recall, in August, we convened and staff brought forth alternate budgeting, excuse me, I have a frog this morning, alternate budgeting strategies. During the conversation, we talked about different strategies for bringing forth the CIP budget. Consistent with Commissioner direction, the CIP work group reconvened and reset the FY26 budget, doing a complete analysis of projects that are in process, what phase they're in, and what budgetary requirements and funding requirements to match that. As a result, we're bringing forth some budget adjustments for your consideration. Some of the projects have closed. Some of them are just the budget is being realigned with the current need. And this will level set things as we move into the forthcoming budget process where we're looking at the 5-year CIP. So with that said, the total result is a return to the capital reserve of $5.7 million. And you can see that's a mixture of bond, transfer tax, federal government, state government, and PAYGO. Given that the grant funding, grant spending approval, authority, is not available for all projects, we are looking at amounts available for other projects, an increase of $5.57 million.
Well, that's pretty close to it. So you're saying that all this money is available to other projects?
I am.
Okay. And looking over your list here, I see you have a big one. It's FDR Boulevard for $2 million you think's available.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And I think what we've found is that we're running over on projects. I think it's interesting that that project's running under budget. Have we had any? Haven't had any hiccups there? We think we're going to come in under budget.
Some other members of the CIP work group are here with us today, including Director Mills or Deputy Director Whipple, if you'd like to hear from them directly.
Well, whoever can speak to this, but I always worry about stuff that's coming in under budget when it's not done yet. Because I know we got another item coming up that I've had concerns about for a long time. Director Mills, good morning.
Good morning.
How's FDR going? Are we on budget we're under budget, obviously, and we're going to finish that thing on time, and how are we doing down there?
So we're on schedule, and it's actually coming in under budget. We have money in the project for additional change orders that we expect will come. And we've projected what those, let's call it changes, would be for the unit costs that are in the contract.
Well, tell me, expected change orders, those are not things I usually expect when I shouldn't, it's not about me. I'm surprised that we expect change orders, but I guess that happens. So that would fall under contingencies, would that be a better idea? Better description of it?
So the contingency money's still in that project, yes.
Okay, well, what's our contingency on that, do you know?
I believe it's
I thought I read, is it $1 million?
I think it's $1 million. I don't have it in front of me. but-
Oh, no, well, I got it in front of me. Well, I read what you put in here.
$1 million, yes.
Yeah, I saw it. Well, I don't like to ask a question I don't know the answer to. So the key is that, and the reason I do that, I want to make sure we have the same interpretation of the answer. So you believe it's going to work out fine, and we're going to get to this, end of this road, Peg Road, summer of next year, on time and under budget?
That is the plan.
Well, holy smokes. I'm going to tell you, I'm looking you in the eye, sir, and I hope to be able to look you in the eye and tell you congratulations.
We hope he's right.
I hope I'm right, too.
All right, well, that one had me just
We
a
have,
little
we
concerned.
have Mr. FDR on the project, and I'm confident he's got everything ironed out, exactly what it needs to be on that project.
Well, one of the things that happened there, and I'm happy that it happened, is we came in under projected budget for the actual construction. That surprised me, because I don't see that happen very often. And as long as they've been able to keep to those numbers, we just got to be thankful that that's the case.
Yeah, that's constant coordination with the contractor. That happens daily.
All right, good. All right, well, we get over 20,000 cars a day on that road at Hewitt Road coming to Route 4. It's got to be even more once we get to Peg Road, because people coming out of Gate 1 will not have to go on 235 if they're headed towards the Leonardtown area or that up that way. All right, well, thank you, Mr. Mills.
All right.
So I don't mind asking a question when I don't know the answer to it. So I just want to know, we've got a mix of projects here that we're pulling back money for, some that are complete and some obviously that are not complete. Shannon Farm, if we're pulling back this $1.9 million, when we are ready to do the project, does that mean it needs to get reapproved to get money to it?
That is correct. This budget is being reduced to the current need for the design and development. And then as we move through the new CIP budgeting process, we will be slating in projects at the actual construction cost once we know that is a known factor for the commissioner's consideration and prioritization.
Okay. And then once we pull back this 5.7 million to the Fin, what will the total amount be?
Please hold.
Stand by for news.
9.5.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind that does include the grants, the grant authority, which of course is not available for all projects, only grant projects.
And how much is granted there? It's only like 100,000 or something.
No, the grant in the is 3.6.
Oh, it's 3.6. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And what was the grant to fund? Well, here's forget that question. Forget that question. Let me ask you this question because I had it on my mind. Public administration software, $1,263,847. What in the world is that? How are we saving $1.2 million on public administration software?
Some time ago, the priority came up to try to look at redeploying and investing in a new ERP, which is the financial and accounting system, as well as payroll and all of the related aspects of that. Given that we are not currently slated to do that and it's not a current project that is live, we are releasing those funds back, and when we have a plan for actual implementation and going out for RFP, then we'll bring that information back at that time, again, for the commissioner's consideration and prioritization.
What brought this to mind for me is this is a perfect example of zero-based budgeting to catch these types of things. That, you know, we've allocated this money, we haven't used it, we're not ready to use it. I mean, this is the type of thing that hopefully cost efficiencies will come back to us. Now, is this in your department that this?
The budget is in IT, but my department would certainly help spend it, yes.
Well, okay, I was glad to see that money released. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, so that's, and with that, if there are further questions, or if not, we ask that you consider approving the budget amendments.
All right, so I move to approve the budget amendment increasing the FIN 2026 capital reserve by updating current project statuses totaling $5,660,936 and authorize Commissioner President to sign all related documents.
Second. I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
I voted aye for the record if I didn't get that.
Thank you. Next up, from the Department of Public Works and Transportation, the Sheriff's Office Support Services Building, BA request. Director Donnie Mills, Deputy County Administrator David Yingling, and Deputy Director DPW Gary Whipple. Welcome all.
Good morning.
Good
Good morning. So I must say that stepping in to lead the department, I found myself doing a lot of new things for me. And today isn't going to disappoint. So we're here, the construction for the support services building and site work is ready to be put out for bid.
Good.
So in order to do that, we have to have the funds in the project to bid that project out. In your packet, there is a red line area on the plan view. Just to kind of give you an idea of what the site scope, entails. When we split those projects, when we split the project in phases, it kind of, you kind of miss those pieces that are all really need to happen now. So the earthwork and all those things, the site balance and all that stuff. So, so that's why we're thinking that we're going to need a little bit of money to get this done, to get it out for bid. Is that 3.8 million, or a little bit of money? That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So as far as for the bidding, what we're hoping that we're going to do is attract bidders that are going to be looking at the overall picture. There's really, another building that's going to follow. Mm-hmm. And what we're hoping is that we're going to attract really competitive bids here, and hopefully we'll start off under budget on this bid. We don't know what that's going to do.
I'm going to have a hard time with that one. I'm not done yet.
We don't know if that's what's going to happen, but we don't know until we get it out there.
So to bring a little bit of this into perspective, the headquarters project, the support services building, and the headquarters project were originally one project.
During last year, how much originally was this project?
It's $40 million, and the goal is to keep it at $40 million as a combined project and some change. As we went through the budget process last year, the delegation did not support $15 million in bonding authority from the commissioners. So to make headquarters work, we phased the project into two phases. Phase one, the support services building, and the entire site work for the entire project minus the physical building for headquarters. That $15 million in bonding authority during that budget cycle, commissioners had two priorities that they brought forward. One being the renovation to Chopticon High School, a 50-year-old school in St. Mary's County to support 1,000-plus school children that go there. and a facility for the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office to provide public safety to our community. Those were the two primary objectives that the commissioners had during the budget process. In very quick order, DPW had to split that project, a very complicated project, into two on a very difficult site. When they broke that project into those two projects, there was not enough money in the FY26-27 approved bonding authority to cover the expected expense to that project as that project developed from the transition from Sheriff Cameron to Sheriff Hall and some shifting priorities and what goes where in the projects. As we brought the project forward to go out to bid, the commissioners know that we have to certify that we have the funds. We cannot at this point in time certify that we have the funds because some additional money is in this project in FY28, which we don't have bonding authority yet. So the goal is to come up with $15.136 million to be able to go to bid on this project to find out what it actually costs. We did hire and employ a third-party estimator so that we have a very good idea what that is. When the third-party estimator did the entire project, combining the Phase 1 and Phase 2 and looking at the extensive site work that is involved in that project, they identified that our contractor missed some site development costs to the tune of about $3.8 million.
Our contractor, is that like an independent
Yes.
third party that we use?
That is the person that we awarded the contractor to develop and design the support services building.
And is that like AMT or who is that?
The architect is Morgan Design Group.
And they're the people that missed this by 3.8 million?
Understand that this is a very unique project in that it is two buildings separate on a less than ideal site. It's an adequate site for the project, but there's a big slope in the middle. So that comes in with additional costs for bringing in the stormwater management, bringing in pumping the.
We didn't know that slope was there before we started?
It wasn't in the original 2019 site analysis.
Really?
but,
We didn't know
we
the site
did-
had this kind of topography before we started?
Well, you're making design choices during the development of the project. Are you going to try and fill it, compact it? What is the most economic way to do that? At some point in time, the decision to separate the support services building, which brings in extra sewer and water costs. The short version is that it was missed. I don't have a good excuse for it. There's nothing I'm going to sit up here and tap dance.
Well, again, I'm not looking for excuses. I'm just trying to understand why this thing has gotten out of hand.
And so the goal of the project is, as the headquarters project developed, you had an idea that you're going to put X number of thousand square feet in a support services building. During the project design, there was a decision made by the sheriff's office at the time, sitting in a different chair, to move crime lab from the headquarters proper building into the support services building. So the size of that building increased because where the evidence is and where the crime lab is there are synergies of operations at that time. So that building got a little bigger.
Scope creep?
No, we moved from the headquarters building to the other building. During the analysis, we also identified some space that was not accounted for in the 2019 space study. And then some choices were made. Now, the good news is the site is designed and permitted for a 57,000 square foot main headquarters. But as we go through that process, we can have conversations about the size of that program because it's already sized for perhaps a future expansion or something like that. As the priorities of the sheriff's office shifted from, let's say, a gym to a communication center inside of headquarters, we have opportunities to have conversations about that as the Criminal Investigations Division is moving into another part of back into headquarters that leaves vacant space in District 3. So we have future conversations, tough conversations to have about the size of the eventual headquarters project. But the important thing for today and the goal of staff is to identify the $15.136 million so that this can go to bid, so that we can begin the process of providing critical services to the sheriff, which are evidence storage, space for staff, and move this project forward. We are going to have more difficult conversations after we receive the bids about the size and scope of headquarters project and have opportunities to collaborate to ensure that we are fiduciarily responsible to our citizens, but meet the needs of the men and women of the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office and the public safety aperture of this department. So what is in front of you today is an opportunity to get this project moving and to bid, to get ground moving, but also the baseline for future conversations of that project.
So, Mr. Yingling, just, I can't speak for the whole board, obviously, but I think this board is very much looking forward to getting this project moving. Seems to be, we expected it probably to be a little further along at this point than it is. I want to ask a question. I think you said this, and just what the memo says here. Additional funding is necessary to advertise the construction contract, makes sense. With additional funding, the overall cost of the sheriff's headquarters projects will remain the same. Is that accurate?
That is the goal. With one proviso, during the FY27 and 28 budget, we will have to escalate the project for inflation. We do that with all projects throughout the process. So looking at that number in a vacuum. And so to go back through the history, the Mans Woodward Space Needs appraisal in 2019 identified the need for 45,000 square foot facility, about, I think it was 44.8.
Right, on the headquarters.
On the main headquarters.
And it's up to 57,000 now.
And during
Yes
that.
or no?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. And during that process, the goal of the organization is always to stay within budget for that total project. There are opportunities because as we identify places where we can save, move things into facilities that are being vacated, you could potentially shrink that project or hope that the cost estimator did a better job in the phase 2 part of the project than they did in the phase 1. There is less risk in the phase 2 part of the program outside of things we can't control, tariffs, price of steel, all of those things, because most of your surprises will be gone. The site work is where you normally hit the surprises that we hit. Those are the harder things to look at. When we estimated those costs, we looked at historicals for the library. Probably should have looked at the library plus the animal shelter in a perfect world, looking back, hindsight being 2020. What I am saying and what we've had conversations with the sheriff about is there may be opportunities to save money by either shrinking, and maybe that becomes the future expansion, phase 3 of the project in 20 years. That was one of the original concerns with that site, is that if we built everything around the exact minimum that we could, there was no ability to expand that. So the goal was always to see how much we could fit on that project, recognizing that this is a specialized, very expensive building that I'll never build again in my lifetime, recognizing that this is an organization that's been here for since 1637, first in the state that will have their first specialty building outside of a jail specifically designed for them, and to serve the people of St. Mary's County for 50-plus years. We want to maximize what we can put on that site instead of like we do in government, and that's not only St. Mary's County, that's everyone. You move into a building and realize, wow, we didn't make it big enough.
The goal. We can argue about the funding, but at the end of the day, we want to do it right.
The goal is to make sure that the budget, unless the commissioners approve more, I'm sure the sheriff would always jump up and down and say he could use more, that we stay within the budget authorized by the commissioners of St. Mary's County to provide the services to the people of St. Mary's County.
Okay, go ahead. Anybody else?
So this money is for all the site work for both parts, for the headquarters and for the support services building, correct?
Yes, essentially, headquarters, Phase 2 was a Lego. You would plop it right down on that site.
So we're not going to have any
I don't
further
think it's that
site
easy, sir.
It'd be nice.
surprises.
I had one other one I thought. Are we done with design revisions?
Yes.
Completely
Well,
done?
for Phase 1. For Phase 1, now, again, as I say, as we work to meet scope and Commissioner's budget, there may be some refinements, sorry, Sheriff, downward and headquarters potentially, unless there's a critical need, and that would come back in front of the board.
The reason I'm asking is because with the museum project in St. Clements Island, there was, and within the week before the groundbreaking, there was, let's put the cannon from Tudor Hall in here with no regard for any kind of structural reinforcement or any engineering, which was a cost, cost going up on that. That wasn't foreseen. I just want to try to keep those, surprise costs down to zero. Not even a bare minimum, just keep those at zero.
So the sheriff has a great team around him working with our staff. I think Mr. Whipple's loud and clear that the budget for the project is the budget, and to keep things moving along, we want to get the building completed and moving as quick as possible. But yes, we're acutely aware of the board's concerns.
And for the site prep contractor, you're just hoping to dangle a little bait, say, hey, give us a good contract, you get, everything, or is that what I'm reading here?
Well, I think the realistic hope is that by being involved in Phase 1 of the project, being on the ground, moving the dirt, having intimate knowledge of the project, that would assist that person in putting a more competitive bid for, say, Phase 2. I think that's a realistic goal.
Last question, smaller gorilla. How long for the bid process?
Typically, we've done a 6-month bid project, especially for something of this scope and complexity. That helps the contractors have a better analysis of that, more time for them to ask questions and get answers back from the engineer. And I think we saw with the museum, that longer process probably paid off in the end, because outside of a couple outliers, there was much more, the other bids were fairly close, and I think it gave them enough time to make informed decisions about the cost and provide us a good project.
So this timeline here looks to be 5 months for the bid process. October 2025 to March 2026. That's 5 months.
That's correct.
All right, I like that.
Well, and the package has already been through legal review and procurement review, so we've already stepped into that review process. So that's been taken into account.
Because just like Commissioner Hewitt stated, I just don't want to see any more surprises on this, because
We don't have any private landfills back there, do we?
Not that we found yet,
Nothing like
Commissioner.
that. No.
I mean, it's a valid question.
Yeah.
It is.
All right, tell me, go ahead.
We talk about site preparation. When we're doing this for the entire project, right?
That is correct.
Does that include all utilities?
Everything.
Plumbing, water, electric?
Internet.
It's
everything.
It's been one site, 2 buildings. And-
One site, 2
and-
buildings,
And all of
and
the
all
site
this
development is in this
infrastructure is going to be
package.
in place when the sheriff headquarters gets ready to go up.
Right. So when this project is done, you'll have all the utilities run up to the pad area of the headquarters building and stubbed up. So when the next package goes out to bid, it'll be the construction of the building. And obviously, there'll be some cost to tie into that infrastructure that's brought to that pad site, but that's minimal compared to what is being spent to actually develop the whole site.
And everything is, we're hopefully going to bring up the latest technology into here, like fiber optics or whatever it takes to make things work better for them.
and this building is specially constructed, right, to withstand?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's not blast force protected, is it?
Yes.
It will be blast force protected?
At least portions of it, yes. It'll be set, there is a standard to develop the project against. So there will be some of that, yes.
Yeah, when it says it's a protected facility in the building code, it's referring to its ability to withstand wind and that those
But it's going to have a
natural forces.
fence
but-
around it. It's going to keep somebody from pulling a
Right.
blast
Yes,
big
and
trucking
that's
fund.
another unique aspect to this project. We have 3/4 of a mile of fencing, just due to the size and the perimeter that we're talking about. So, yeah, there are physical security aspects that are in this project, but it's also reinforced masonry.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know the sheriff and the staff's in the office, and in the audience today, and that's a good thing. I don't want to bring them up. But I do want to say that I think this Board of Commissioners and the previous two boards I've been on have always supported the sheriff's department, whether it's been raises, whether it's been equipment, whatever they needed, and I continue to believe that. And for the record, I'm going to vote for this so we can get this out to bid. But I have some very, I think, I'm concerned about this process. This started back in probably early in my second term, when it was like, okay, well, we're going to do a YMCA, but we should do a sheriff headquarters. They're both big buildings. Well, anyway, the agreement was we'll go in that direction. Now, it was, God rest her soul, former County Administrator Rebecca Bridget, different commissioners, but we all knew that the sheriff headquarters that they're currently in was a temporary facility that they moved into in 1989. This was something that had to move off the block. Now, something else that the commissioners inherited back in 2014 was the jail. That had to move off the block, and we got that done. Now, someone's going to get this done. I probably won't be a commissioner when this gets done, but it will get done. So I'm encouraged by that. Now, if I was the sheriff, I would say, look, I don't build buildings. I just know what I need, and I need this support services building. We've been hearing this for the past couple of years. And we've been also hearing, why is it taking so long to get there? That has been a common, it's not a complaint, it's a concern. What takes us so long to get this thing moving? So we had heard, just before your time, Mr. Mills, we had a meeting probably about 6 months ago. Sheriff was there, I was there, I think Commissioner President Guy was there. And we met, and Mr. Whipple, you told me that, and Mr. Gotch at the time, told me that you had put escalators in for this project, and that the numbers that had come out in 2019 were going to be the numbers you could live with today. And I said to you, I found that unreasonable. I thought that anybody with a reasonable man approach would not think you can keep 2019 numbers with escalators in line with what it's going to cost now. And this has come to fruition. I mean, I just don't have a lot of confidence. Now, let's just say that's something this commissioner will deal with. The next part gets to be is on this, what we call site or creep, the scope creep. Now, the original support services building was smaller than the one proposed. Is that true?
Yes.
How big was the original one?
It's 15,000 square feet.
15,000.
Yeah, and this is 20 and change.
Okay. My point is, it's gone up by 25%. And this other building's gone from 45 to 57%. Again, another 25% increase in the size of the buildings. It's hard, that's the best term to use, to be able to predict with some predictability what things are going to cost when you don't live to the original size of the building. I mean, if someone says, I'm going to build this big of a house, that's what they expect to build. And when they come along and say, well, I got to increase it by 25%, and then your engineer says, oh, we can do it for the same price. It's amazing we're able to do that for the same price. And I'm not going to use the word I used that day, but I'm going to say it's unreasonable to think that that's accurate.
And that is correct. And that's why at that time, after we did that review with the available information, we promised to get a detailed estimate once the site design was complete to true the estimate or get a more accurate number based upon design development. So the best basis for an estimate are bid documents. And so we moved forward to complete the site plan, hire the construction manager to do this estimate, and now we have a better number now than we did back in February. And I agree, it did not seem reasonable to be able to have a larger footprint that was going to stay within those cost elements. At the time, we were being told, well, you're shaking out some of the very expensive force protection
Yeah, I
and
thought we talked
hardening.
that force protection was going to
Yeah.
go away.
Yeah.
And that had
It's-
been the factor that made this cost come down.
Right.
So Commissioner, I absolutely hear what you're saying. I absolutely agree with you. And I think that's why we are where we are when we talk about zero-based budgeting, when we talk about the refined CIP process that Mr. Whipple actually was a proponent of and helped lead the way with that. Vanetta Van Cleef, our CFO, so we can bring less surprises, more information to the commissioners when you approve the projects, and I think that's the trajectory that we're on, because we hear you loud and clear, and.
Well, that's the key. Hear us loud. And, well, I shouldn't speak for the rest of the board. I just speak for myself. But I get frustrated when I know something doesn't make sense and someone says, oh, yes, it does. You know, I hear you, Commissioner, but we're going to do it for that price. And only to show up this time later, which I would have hoped we've been out on the bid street, or would at least had some kind of a number back by now, that we have to come back to this thing, revisit it from almost $4 million. Again, only 3.848. But that high of a number to say we need this to get it on, it's just a delay. And I'm frustrated by it.
And we share that frustration. And that's why we're, the new procedures where we go through and get more solid numbers before we bring them forward to put into the 5-year plan, I think is going to alleviate a lot of this that we're experiencing.
All right, with that said, I move to approve and authorize the Commissioner President to sign the budget amendment transferring $3,850,000 from the capital reserve to the Sheriff's Office Support Services Building Project to advertise a solicitation for construction bids.
Second. Discussion? Mr. Yingling, or the sheriff, anybody from the staff that's present, real quick, how long is evidence required to be stored?
Forever, some
It would depend on the type of evidence. Something from a misdemeanor case after appeals period could be less than 90 days. Things from a homicide or a rape or sex offense are forever. So it really depends on the type of evidence that you are talking about. And just to make sure I'm on the record with this, as we move forward with this project during the 27 budget, there may be some realigning of what year's money is in. So when I say we're keeping it, our goal is to keep it within the same cost. That is over the life of the project. So just for the record, there may be some further refinements during the budget process, but that will time nicely with the release of the bid. So we'll know what we're realigning along those times.
Well, under discussion, well, I've heard, out there, quote unquote, on the street with Chesapeake Today and these groups saying this is going to be a $62 million, budget. I mean, if it gets up that high. I mean, the other thing is if this number comes back and this 15 million, whatever number I just saw, doesn't cover it, I mean, we're going to have to revisit this again. What happens if it comes over budget? We have to revisit it again. Is that true? I would assume so.
Well, we would have to revisit and have the conversation. This number is to get it to bid, so there's not a contingency built into this number. This was to get it to bid. So we are going to have this conversation. Unfortunately, I'm going to be sitting in front of you again, although I like and respect all of you very much. I like sitting in my seat in the back, but we will have this conversation again, but it is an important project to the citizens of St. Mary's County, to the St. Mary's County Sheriff's Office, and eventually St. Mary's County government, because that is the linchpin of our space needs as we move people around. So
I know that's been the case.
And I truly thank the commissioners for your support.
We better hurry up and get this out to bid, because the president announced this morning additional tariffs on lumber. So we better hurry up and get things moving now.
Well, let's get back to your timeline. If you're talking, because again, these timelines seem to have stretched in my history of being here. So you're talking 5 months instead of 6 to get your bid back. Mr. Whipple?
Correct.
Okay. So 5 months instead of 6. I'm looking you in the eye, sir. I want you to tell me. Second thing is once you get the bid back, you have to do some kind of analysis of the bid, I would assume.
Right. We have to check responsiveness and responsibility.
Yes.
Right.
And the point is what's that take?
30 days according to this timeline right here.
I know it does that. I know it says that. So now you're talking another month, and then to actually come, then you have to come before the commissioners to have the bid awarded.
Right, and then.
So we could be June of next year before this is actually ready for reward.
There are opportunities to shave time off of that. For example, the 6-month typical bid timeline, we shaved a month off of that by pre-doing a lot of the work. For the St. Clements Island Museum, there were some pre-work that was done so we could get that bid, not as quickly as Commissioner Colvin wanted to get it done, but I think we got hit with a holiday in there, which delayed us a few weeks. But staff is motivated to shave every day, week, month, hour we can off of this to make this facility a reality.
Well, if it becomes a political football in the middle of an election year, it wouldn't be surprising that we may have to kick this to the next board, but we'll see.
Back to where I was getting to with the evidence storage and the size of it and how long, the length of having that stuff in custody. The thing that concerns me with not slowing this project down is with this new state law that was passed last year that puts wrongfully, I don't want the integrity of the chain of custody to be compromised in any way where St. Mary's County has to foot the bill for a wrongful prosecution or incarceration. And one county's already on the hook and stroking the check for it, I think on the Eastern Shore. I don't want us to join that, so we definitely need to get this done. And with that, I'm ready for a vote if you are, Mr. President.
Well, and just while we're still under discussion, I mean, this timeline, because I agree with Commissioner Hewitt, I mean, and I've said this before, some of this stuff just, I've been in purchasing my whole life, okay? And some of this stuff, in my opinion, just takes so long. I just really hard for me to wrap my head around how long this takes. And at least, hopefully we can better this timeline, but at least I'm hoping we stick exactly to this timeline that is outlined here. And to your point, shave every hour off this thing, because I know the sheriff wants to start turning shovels.
Yes, sir.
Okay, are we ready now, Commissioners? Any more questions? I have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Let's go build a building. Got to build it. Get going.
Thank you. And next is from the Department of Economic Development with the Interstate Fishery Management Plan Amendment Letter. Save the toughest thing for last, right? Welcome. Acting Director, Ms. Hinkle, and Deputy County Attorney, Mr. Hauser.
Sorry you don't have quite the audience that the sheriff
It's
did.
okay. Donnie Mills just said, I wore them out. You'll be fine. Good morning, Commissioners. The action item in front of you today is an opportunity to provide comment on proposed changes to the Interstate Fishery Management Plan as it relates to the striped bass harvest season. The amendment proposed, among other things, 12% reduction in the amount of total removals, a reduction of Maryland's harvest season in the fall, and the creation of a recreational catch and release period in Maryland during striped bass spawning season in the spring. The 12% reduction equates to a 10,000-pound reduction from the oceans for Maryland, and a 340,000-pound reduction from the Chesapeake Bay. The County Attorney's Office conducted due diligence while the Department of Economic Development reached out to individual commercial watermen and the Watermen's Association of St. Mary's County, and feedback from all stakeholders was that they would prefer to stay with status quo. The public comment is due October 3rd if the commissioners choose to weigh in.
Back up for a second. So it's 10,000 pounds from the oceans.
Yes.
So that would.
So
anybody know?
Maryland's removal from the ocean.
Okay, but the Chesapeake Bay would be how much?
340,000-pound reduction in aggregate.
Seems like quite a bit.
It does.
How much you think do we have any idea what the normal, are we like 1 million pounds or?
I don't know what the Maryland removal from the Chesapeake Bay is.
That just seemed like a lot. And there any, what's the term, limits on Virginia?
Yes. Virginia, currently 116,000 from the ocean, and that would go to 102,000 from the ocean. The
What about-
Chesapeake Bay is aggregate, so Virginia, Maryland, Delaware.
Okay.
Yeah, is aggregate.
So I will say that I was not aware of this issue at all until Delegate T. Morgan brought it to my attention, and thankfully you all have been able to carry the ball from there. But obvious statewide impacts and impacts on our watermen and small businesses, so I support this.
What are you supporting?
This letter.
I mean, to reduce, to maintain the status quo, to
Yes,
reduce.
maintain the status quo.
Okay.
Yeah, we're opposing the.
We're to oppose the amendment, yes.
Yes.
I would agree.
I move to approve and authorize the Commissioner President to sign the prepared letter of opposition to the proposed Amendment 3 to Amendment 6 of the Interstate Fishery Management Plan.
Second. I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. And Commissioners, that is all from the county administrators.
That's it, huh? Man.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, let's go around the Commissioner's time, and we'll start with Commissioner Ostro this time.
Well, been very busy few weeks for this commissioner. Had a lot of meetings. Going to be standby, the old standby for news. I'm hoping in the next week or two to make a fairly big announcement on something that I've been working on as commissioner since I was elected, and I do believe we are right on the brink of seeing that happen. So really looking forward to being able to announce that, but there's a little teaser out there for everybody. Great weekend this past weekend. We had the lot going on with out at the air park. A lot going on in and throughout the county. Had some rain and some rough weather, but the taste went off very well from what I understand. Always a great event, and so that's good. And I think it's in a good place to be able to have that out there, easy access, and a lot better for all the vendors who go out there, where they're not competing with some of the local businesses like it used to be on the square. So I think that's a good thing, and it's a great central location to have that, and what a perfect venue. And it's great that we have the airport to be able to do that. So looking forward to next year's event and seeing how that grows into the California area. This commissioner was pretty busy this weekend. My wife was out of town, so I got the opportunity. She left me with a whole list of honeydews to do. So I got the opportunity to do a lot of work on the house and get some things done. And pleased to announce that she was very happy when she got back. I got a gold star for taking care of the things I needed to take care of. A lot of people have commented on the beard here. The strangest thing, this happens every year right around this time. I shave in the morning, and by the evening, this just comes out. It's just must be the Santa Claus, because Commissioner Santa already has several invitations to come and be Santa in and throughout the county. So I'm really looking forward to this coming year, and hence the reason for the beard. So my Santa beard will be in full bloom by Christmas. And so got a lot going on today. Come back, we'll have a public meeting here tonight, 6:30. We'll be going this afternoon over on base for a base tour, and so looking forward to doing that. Everybody coming up this weekend, another great weekend. I think we're finally creeping towards some really nice fall weather. We had a little bit of nice fall weather, and then it kind of hotted up and humiditied up a little bit. So hoping that dials back a little bit for this coming weekend. Everybody, there are still great farmers markets going on. I was at the BAE farmers market this past Saturday. A lot of great, end of season produce coming in and fall produce coming in. So get out, support local, hit our farmers markets, enjoy beautiful St. Mary's County. And with that, I'm going to pass it on.
Thank you. All right, thanks, sir. So, there was a busy weekend, like Commissioner Osho did say, Taste of St. Mary's, rainy day, but the food was great. I was there to see Chiefs win 2 awards, and Nicoletti's won an award. And according to sources, that was the first time they've won an award at Taste of St. Mary's in the 44 years they've been participating, but so in the 44 years they've been around, excuse me. And both well-deserved. The pepperoni pizza bombs from Chiefs were spot on. Of course, they also had stuffed ham sliders, but I had my fill during the fair, and it's going to be stuffed ham season, so I can hold off on that just a little bit. It was a hopefully first annual Wine and Oyster Festival held at St. Clair West in Clements, whatever you want, that bottom of the hill by Oakley Road is the best way to determine. If you know, you know. And it was sparsely attended. And that sort of happens on the first time you do an event like that. And but I will say I did eat my share of oysters and didn't partake of any wine there for some reason or other. It's odd for me. But anyway, the oysters were great. And I'm really hoping that that does come back around next year because it is a good community event. I think a lot of people were held off because of the rain. Half the vendors did cancel because they thought it was going to rain, but evidently their weather forecasting software on their phones isn't as good as mine. But if you get a chance to do that next year, go do it. And of course, the Oyster Festival's coming up at the fairgrounds in a couple weeks. It'll be here before you know it, which is scary. This upcoming week, with the blessing of the fleet, will be held at Leonardtown Wharf this year. As everybody knows, the museum was under construction over in St. Clements Island, and so now we have to move the blessing of the fleet to Leonardtown Wharf. Looking forward to being there, hitting basically a different demographic, and of course, we'll have 3 bands and fireworks, and I think it'll be a outstanding turnout, given that the tropical depression / system that was previously forecast to hit in the Carolinas is supposedly going to make a hard right turn and head directly back out to into the Atlantic, which is fantastic for anybody who lives on the coast and us as far as rain and potential flooding. Southern Trail is hosting their fall market on Saturday also, and Friday evening I get to go to the Osprey Gala fundraiser, which helps preserve the lighthouse at St. Clements Island, and it's always a good event to go to. I enjoy it, 1, because it's close by, and 2, I know that it helps preserve the heritage of St. Mary's County. More serious stuff. Yesterday there was a false alarm thrown up on Facebook where someone could claim that there were ICE agents raiding homes, conducting raids in Lexington Park. Now, I'm on Facebook enough, and I know enough about society where if something like that was happening, there'd be 532 cell phones out filming every interaction. There was not a single photo, not a single video posted for any kind of ICE activity. So I contacted the sheriff. I said, hey, what's going on? Within 10 minutes, he got back to me. He says absolutely nothing is going on of the sort concerning federal agents. So remember that anybody can put anything on Facebook. After Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there were people, posting these from these burner accounts or whatever, saying that this professional football player is going to pay for Charlie Kirk's kids to go to college, and then other professional football players saying we don't need to do this for Charlie Kirk. And these weren't even misattributed quotes; they were just flat out lies. And unfortunately, I think we are pretty limited in how we can police that. It's just a matter of just think it through, use a little bit of logic. Why would somebody say this about that? And if you think if you're going to say that ICE agents are raiding homes in Patuxent Homes and St. Clements Crossing and areas in Gray Mills Road, there'd be at least one picture or video of evidence. So I hope this actually gets back to the person who made that original post. And when I say you need to be more responsible, and I'll leave it at that. got an email yesterday, it was posted on my Facebook, and on my, I believe I posted on the website also, that the Morganza Light Progress is going on. They are in the design stage now. So if you recall, back in April, I got an email saying that they were getting ready to get ready, and I met with MDOT in August at Mako, and they said they were starting to work on the design, and they are hoping for a June 26th opening of that much-needed, way overdue light on Merganza. And I've gotten some feedback on that, worried about safety concerns of coming off the cresting the hill there. And what I say to those concerns are, this is the reason why MDOT is designing it and not someone designing it on the back of a napkin at any level. There's places around in Prince George's County especially that are the same type of situation with a hill and light at the bottom of the hill that we have, that MDOT has experience in and dealing with. Airport update, I'll hit it real quick. Test strips were laid down last week, and the test strips passed, I believe. We got a thumbs up from the county administrator there. The test strips have passed. We can extend the runway finally and hopefully start running some four-wheel jet aircraft there. And I'm looking forward to that possibility. And finally, happy birthday, Mom. Her birthday is Thursday, and one of my biggest supporters since I nearly killed her 50-some years ago, but she has forgiven me, I guess, because she's helped me to get to where I am today, and I appreciate that, and happy birthday.
Great.
Very good. So, great news about the airport runway. Excited. Commissioner Alderson, thanks for bringing that up. That's good. Also want to touch on Blessing of the Fleet coming up this Saturday. As Commissioner Alderson said, it's going to be in Leonardtown at the Wharf. It's always a good time. If you've never been to it before, go check it out. It's a really great event. It's a lot of fun. They always do a good job there. And this Saturday down at St. Michael's Catholic Church in Ridge, they're doing a Blessing of the Animals. You can bring your pets on a leash, and they will be blessed by Father Bernie down there. So that's probably going to be a fun event, so if you're interested in that. So I do want to wish a happy new year fiscal to all of my coworkers on the base. I don't know if it's going to be a happy year starting tomorrow. We'll see what happens. It's unacceptable at the federal level to not pass a budget. The last time a budget was passed, a real budget, was back when Clinton was president. It's been continuing resolutions since then, but there's no excuse to not get a continuing resolution to keep the government running. I believe there's a fair proposal out there. It needs to get approved. There's no reason to shut down the government. It's inexcusable. I said, I don't always agree with the budgets that Annapolis does or their way of go about building them, but at least they pass a budget to keep the government going at the state level. We always do a fair and balanced budget here at our level to keep it going. Federal government, you need to do your job. You need to pass a budget. Tonight, we're back in session for the Consolidated Transportation Plan Tour. In Maryland Department of Transportation goes around to every county in the state, and since we're at the bottom of the state, we get lumped in last for the evening, for the day. They've probably hit 2 other counties today, but we're looking forward to that. I know we'll have some of our delegation, state delegation here with us, and it's always a good conversation, and hopefully we'll get some good information. Thank you.
Thank you. Good.
Hey, thank you. Well, again, I'll touch on the, what I call the SHA Road Show. We have it every year where they come to the county and tell us what they're working on, and I'm happy to have that interchange. Lord knows there's another $1 million for engineering or for the new bridge, Thomas Johnson Bridge, which Lord knows that's been our prime project for so long. But it's rewarding to see that finally there may be some movement on the Great Mills Road, Route 5 intersection down at the bottom of that hill in Great Mills. That's been a bottleneck for a long time. Let's hope that does in fact get moving. But a small thing in there that I read about was a small road off of Route 4 between Route 235 and the bridge. It's called Lou's Way. And I know people who live down there, 4 or 5 families, and they do not have a left turn to be able to turn into Lou's Way if they're going towards the bridge. There's a left turn to turn into the church right there at the beginning. There's obviously a left turn and a light at Patuxent Boulevard. There's a left turn at Kingston Creek to go there. Now, those are more densely populated area down there. And there's no left turn, of course, at the bottom of the, right before you get to the bridge onto, I guess that's Old Town Creek, South Patuxent Road, North Patuxent Road.
Right.
But the point is that Lou's Way, there's some young drivers that drive. When we first had this discussion with SHA, I said, all you have to do is move the paint back probably about 60 feet, and you could include them with a area for these people to get out of the traffic lanes. I said, what you do is you have 2 lanes coming off of Route 235 that eventually merge into one. They have to merge left, only to turn around and merge right after the light at Patuxent Boulevard. I said, you could just make that right lane just the through lane and have either the left lane move over, but maybe it's better. I don't know. I'm not an engineer. But I was glad to see it scored number 4 on this chart that they had for local minor projects. So I'm glad to see that. This afternoon, we have the tour of the base. I think that's a very good idea. Since the base has become very hard to get on for people who are not actually connected with the base, work on the base, have a military ID or something like that, you don't know really what goes on there. This will be an opportunity for them to explain to us the complexities of what they do, and another opportunity for us to get closer, more integrated, and I think it's a great idea. The government shutdown that is supposedly taking place tonight, Lord knows it doesn't seem like there's any resolution to this. We've gone through these before, and one side blames the other, this, that, and the other. But, you know, this is affecting people's lives. People are nervous if they're going to lose their jobs. All this political gamesmanship does not really help the people we're supposed to serve. So, as another commissioner said, let's hope they do their job and get that done. Finally, I went to a meeting last week where people talked about one of the things was higher density housing. And not a complaint, but a remark there by a couple of people was, we don't want any more high density housing in St. Mary's County. And I get that. I definitely don't want any in the northern part of the county, which doesn't have the water and sewer to support high density housing. And when I look at this type of thing, I think about my long time as being a businessman in St. Mary's County. I remember back in the 80s, I got involved with U-Haul. And it was a long 36-year relationship that I have to say ended very well for both of us. I finally retired, got out of it. But the point was, there was many times I saw people move here, and they would come in from other parts of the country, and they'd come their U-Haul, and they bring it to me, and they, hey, welcome to St. Mary's County, glad you're coming. Now, people were connected with the base, but they weren't so much military. They were contractors for the most part, we knew after BRAC, our contracting community really expanded. So they were bringing people in from all over. And what people would tell me when they got here is, well, I brought my 4-bedroom house, but I can't afford a 4-bedroom house in St. Mary's County. I've had to downsize, either sell my stuff or put it in storage, because what I'm making, which I thought was a great salary, is I can't afford that type of home where I came from. And this was a common thing I saw for about a year to 2 years later, the same people coming in, renting another U-Haul truck to take their stuff back to where they came from. The key was the cost of living. This was the 80s, the 90s, 2000. I did that business for a long time. So fast forward to 2025. And what we have is we have people who need affordable housing. The same people who said they did not want high density want affordable housing. Well, that's a conundrum for this commissioner, because it'd be great to have a single family home that you could purchase for 250 or 300,000, whatever someone's idea of affordable housing is, but it's just not practical. It's not happening, especially if they have to put in well and sewer and all these types of things you have to do to build a home. It just doesn't seem practical. So it makes me wonder what kind of housing, if we do not allow some type of density, whether it be townhouses or apartments or condos or whatever it be, where are I hate to use the term the young people, but look, I'm in my 70s, I'm not young. Where are the young people who are starting out? People who make 80,000 or get a job making 80,000 and think, wow, I've got a great job, only to find out that they can barely make it on that. Or people even lower, 50,000 and whatnot. The key gets to be, we need to figure out some ways to have people be able to find, I use the term, a roof over their head, a place to live and at least bed to sleep in, that type of thing, place to make food. It's important that we figure that out. Now, I asked a couple people after that meeting, well, okay, you don't like high density. Where would people live? And their answer was, I don't know, but I don't want that. We need, you as commissioners have to figure out a way to lower the cost of housing. We can't do that. We don't have that ability. We can't install a rule or some kind of ordinance that says you can only build, this type of structures. We can't do it. So I'll leave it at that. It's a tough issue. Final thing I'll say is my wife and I are out of town this week, and we will be for a few weeks afterwards, so we're going to miss all these local events. Sorry that has to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Hitting on high-density housing, funny thing, this weekend I was looking at Amazon on their website. They sell houses now. I'm serious. I was looking at it. And
Shipping?
Ship free.
Okay.
Really?
Free shipment to your home.
It's like the old
Three
Sears
bedrooms?
Exactly. Like remember Sears used to have that housing you could buy, from Sears
Three-bedroom
catalog?
home?
Amazon's got them now on their website.
My house is an old Sears house.
And the house comes as a modular. They folds out two sides, folds out. I mean, it's a pretty good size house, 3-bedroom, 2 bath.
That's a great answer to that issue.
I thought, wow, this is unbelievable. Now, bring it up, and I don't know what the solution is, too, sometimes. I know people don't want this high density in their areas. I understand that. And my travels down, I hate to bring up North Carolina again, but then I see these tiny house developments that they put up down there right next to an island that has multi-million-dollar houses. But now they got a $90,000 home that's sitting on this little tiny lot with all this facilities and everything involved. And I don't know. To me, that's a solution to, and they're not vacation cottages. These people living there permanently. I mean, they're set up. They're living there. And these are people that have that lower income bracket, and this is what they can afford. And I don't know what our solution is to it, but probably Maryland's problem is probably we have so many regulations and cost analysis that we have to build a house, and the cost is so big before we put the first piece of lumber on the ground. And I don't know what the whole answer is, but there's got to be a way of doing some of this. And some of the Amazon houses look pretty nice. So anyway, and I read back to my first house in 1972. I had a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath condo in Charleston, South Carolina, and I paid $16,000 for it. A couple years later, I moved into a 3-bedroom, 2-bath garage, all brick exterior house for $24,000. But of course, things have changed since then quite a bit.
Those days are long gone.
Those are long gone. It's very little. I tell people this too because I can remember when we had our last State of the County. A lot of questions were talking about affordable housing, and my main thing is the county does not build housing. We don't have any funds. We don't have any ability to do that. The only thing we do is look at regulations and give some tax breaks, things like that, to encourage our developers out there to build, but we can't make them build. A lot of them told me that they can't make any money building a $300,000, $400,000 house. It's got to be $500,000 plus, and that's just the way it is. Now, yesterday morning, I took the time to believe it or not, I got up early. At 7 o'clock, I was on the road. I went down to the base. I want to see how bad the traffic was all the way down through there. Wow. Wow. Was it? I took the Route 5 route, crossed O'Chancellor, went on to Peg Road, and I got to the light there to get onto the gate, and it went through 4 iterations before I finally got to the gate. Okay, I got onto, actually get onto traffic. There was so much coming from all directions, even though they had 4 lanes of traffic going into the base. Checking the IDs, things like that, of course, it's just the safety things that are going on around there. But I feel for you people going down there, but there are concerns with security and everything, and unfortunately, they check every ID going on there now, and it's still, I think they're very efficient about it, using their guns that they track the, you know, it's pretty good, but it just takes a long time. So I had my eyes open the time I got onto the base, but from Clemens to the, went to the exchange, it took me almost an hour to get there.
Yeah, that's about right.
So it was pretty much an opening. But a lot of these concerns for people out there, it's we're working with the state because a lot of these things are state roads. And they're the ones that have to make the improvements and changes. And it's a heck of a process to get them to do anything done. So that's the way it is right now. So with that being said, my weekend was very well. Unfortunately, the rain sort of stifled a lot of activities on Saturday. It was pouring down rain. But, oh well, that's the way it is. Mother Nature has her way. Right now is a motion to move into closed session.
Commissioner President, before you
Yes, sir.
leave that.
Yes, sir.
I'm a big Amazon fan. I love Amazon. You know. I'm on their site. They have a modern, single luxury apartment container home, $39,999, and you can have it tomorrow between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Free delivery.
Delivered.
So there's an answer to that question.
Yes, there is. I'm telling you. I was shocked myself to see all that.
I can't believe it.
Is that the 2-story one?
No, it's a one story.
One story? Well, they have one that's 2-story. I thought about same price. I said, dang, God. Okay.
Well, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
There you go.
Go Amazon.
That's a thought to look into.
Okay, I need a motion to move into closed
I
session.
move to enter into closed session to discuss personnel.
Second.
I have a first, second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Adjourn.